in this video I'm going to cover how to fix moire. Okay, so I have over here a definition of what moire is. And basically moire is a undesirable effect that occurs in Photoshop when two screens are superimposed but not quite in alignment with each other. And it usually happens during a rescreen. Now let me explain what a rescreen is and how this relates to what you're working on. Okay, just to point out the area in your assignment that this is related to, here's your assignment that you're working on, your scrapbook. And down here under the second part, under photo retouching, you have number 1 here that says, find a close-up of a portrait in a magazine or book. Okay, and the reason I have you finding that is because I want you to actually scan that in manually on a scanner. Okay, so you'll need to get access to a scanner in order to achieve this particular section of the book. I was lost for words for a minute. In order to achieve the find a portrait and scan it in, you're going to need to find a scanner to do that. Okay? Okay, so back here. So this rescreening problem happens when you have an image, and we'll go over here into Photoshop. And here is an image of a portrait that I scanned from a magazine. Okay? And what happens is when you scan something that's already been printed, such as something in a magazine or a book, during the printing process, a screen is overlaid over the image so that it can print properly. Okay? And you can kind of tell, if I zoom up just a tad bit here, and you look in this region right here, you sort of see this sort of checkerboard square thing going on. That is the same thing that you have going on right here. This is an example of it in black and white. But basically when two screens, here's one screen and here's another, overlay each other, you get this moire pattern. Well, as I mentioned, when something is professionally printed, a screen is applied to all the photography so that it can print properly. When you actually scan that image in to the computer, another screen during the scanning process is applied. And those two screens that lie over top of each other create this kind of checkerboard pattern here. And you can kind of see it here as well. So this video is just going to go through quickly how to use this fix that I have right here, and that fix is right here, and I have this posted inside of your week 8 classroom materials, and it's posted right here. So basically we're going to follow this fix. So we're first going to do a despeckle filter, a blur image, and then an unsharp mask. So let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop. I've got this image here that I kind of scanned in from a magazine. You can kind of see moire here, you can see moire here. It's prominent throughout this entire photo. So the first thing we're going to do is a despeckle filter. So we go up to filter and we pull down to noise and we do a despeckle. Okay, so you can kind of see during the despeckle process there that it's softened that checkerboard square, but it still exists. The next thing we're going to do is a blur image. So let's go back and pull down filter and go blur. And when you do a blur, there's all these blurs that you can do. You want to just do a straight blur. Okay, this one right here, just blur. Blur and blur, nothing more than that. The simple option of blur. So we're going to blur that, and you can kind of see that that has softened it as well. And then we're going to do an unsharp mask, which is hopefully going to eliminate it completely. So we're going to come up here again to filter, to sharpen, and go to unsharp mask, which is right here. And it kind of gives you a close-up here where you can still see a little bit of that moire that's going on back here. You can see the same thing, and you can, let's see, I believe you can tweak the threshold, see how it's softening it even more. And just a little bit of radius and maybe a tad bit of amount here, and that will give us a softening even more. Okay, so all in all, after applying those three things, I have attempted to try and make this image look better. So if I bring up my history and I go back, that's what I had. You can see a prominent checkerboard square there, and if I go back, you can kind of see that's softened. So for the part of your assignment, underneath part 2, the first one, number 1 there, find a close-up of a portrait in a magazine and scan it in. You're going to need to find a scanner, scan in that portrait, and then you're going to need to apply this filter to that portrait. Okay, so quickly, as quick as I can, that was how to fix a moire problem.